Hello and welcome to another episode of Beer Man's No Bull Beer Reviews. Today I have another beer from Pontoon Brewing Company out of... Sorry, I thought I seen this before. Sandy Springs, Georgia. This beer is called Gravity Glaze. And it is 12.1 ABV. Has a very unique label there. If you see like this hummingbird coming out of a caramel apple, or like a caramel topped apple, it's really interesting. But so this beer is kind of all over the place. Someone sent me this in a box that I got for a Super Bowl pull from Georgia, and so I'm really excited to drink this. But it just kind of craziness. If you hear this description, it says Imperial Stout aged in apple brandy, vanilla bourbon, vanilla cinnamon whiskey, and 4 Roses barrels, then aged on Tongan vanilla and coffee that was aged in bourbon barrels with apple pie spices for a year. So I think if you kind of took out like the apple pie spices, it might intrigue me a little more. I don't know how that's... With all that other stuff and it being in vanilla cinnamon whiskey barrels, I don't know that that's needed, but we'll see. I had the other beer, the 1 or 2 beers that I had from Pontoon, I think they were just IPA, so I've never had anything in this realm before, but it sounds like there's a whole lot going on with this. I'm pretty intrigued. We'll see if it lives up to the crazy description that it has. You know, anytime I hear apple, especially in something, you know, that's not something that's barrel aged, it makes me just think of like acetaldehyde. Now I know that that's not necessarily, that's usually green apple, and it's something different than that, but it's always just makes me think of that. So as you can see, it pours a really dark brown to black color with slightly less than a finger's worth of beige head. So it does have like an apple aroma, which is interesting. I don't think that it's like acetaldehyde, and they just decided to change the description because of it. I'm definitely getting some coffee, and I guess like the apple brandy could be giving the apple aroma too. I get some vanilla. I'm not saying, I wouldn't say that I get necessarily any. It smells like natural vanilla, not like the vanilla that you get from oak bourbon barrels. And I wouldn't say that I'm getting any cinnamon either. We'll see. Wow, that is interesting. And tasting this, it really makes sense with this label, because it does really have like, I mean, it has the apple flavor, but it does have like a deep caramel taste too. It does kind of taste like a caramel apple. You know, you always wonder, what did they come up with we wanted the beer to taste like that first and then made the label, or they already decided, or maybe they didn't want the beer to taste like that and then it did, and then they made the label that way, or did they already have the intentions and they made the label? I don't know. But in the flavor, it's definitely like that apple flavor first. But to me, it tastes like actual apple, not really like the apple pie spices that it says. And then it kind of follows into like this caramel character. But the caramel character also is kind of spirit-like, where I think it's actually some of that character is coming from the bourbon, and then it finishes with a little wash of coffee and vanilla. The beer is like, it feels hefty, but at the same time, it kind of feels thin. If that makes any sense at all. I think it feels hefty because of the flavors, but I think because the carbonation level is pretty high, that's why it kind of feels a little thin to me. I will say, since I'm getting a decent bit of like booze flavor, and when I say booze flavor, I mean like the flavors that come along with bourbon and apple brandy. I don't mean I'm actually tasting ethanol. So yeah, I'm not really tasting ethanol, and I'm not feeling it in the throat at all either. Like I cannot believe that this is 12%. I would actually be surprised if this was 10%. To me, it kind of tasted like they wanted to do some crazy ass stout, but then they tried to barrel age like a smaller beer, something that's like 8%, because that's kind of what it comes off as. But the fact that it is 12 is kind of crazy. Yeah. It's really hard for me to get my brain to realize or think that this is apple, or that the apple flavors are from the apple brandy and whatever the spices are. It doesn't say that there's actual apples in it. The apple brandy and whatever the spices are in it, and not from acetaldehyde. I mean, honestly, maybe they were trying to do something else and it ended up tasting like acetaldehyde, and that's kind of how they then they added the spices at the end to make it seem like that's what they were going for. Excuse me. I hope not, but who knows? But I'm trying to think of how I want to rate this. Now, on my scale of buy, drink, dump, I was considering calling this a buy, because it could be a beer that I would explain to somebody like, hey, this is kind of unique and it might be worth trying and you might like this, but that's no reason for me to buy it again. I'm not going to buy it again just for someone else to drink it. So it might be something that I would recommend to somebody else, but if I'm just saying on my own personal level, would I buy it again? Probably not. And I didn't buy it the first time, but if I saw it on the shelf, I honestly would probably not buy this. I don't think it's like weird and novelty enough to buy it just for that reason, to open it with like random people. So I'm just going to give this one a drink. I'll drink the rest of it, and it is kind of an interesting beer, but there's just not enough there's not enough going on with it, and there's not enough complexity in like body to the stout that I would want to buy this again, so yeah, I'm just gonna leave it at that. This one's just a drink. I'll finish it, but I wouldn't buy it again. So I think that's all I got in this one. Please like, comment, subscribe, let me know what you think, and I look forward to doing the next one. Thanks.